Hello, everybody, and welcome to my channel. This is my Divine Awakening series, and we are here on episode 9. And I'm so excited for this conversation with a beautiful soul sister who is really inspiring me with her dedication to bring through just energy that is going to help be the catalyst for all of us in many ways through her unique voice. And she has been known as ultra soprano, and she's sung throughout the country. And now she's bringing her voice and connecting in on a deeper level to her guides, to her angels, where she's able to use her voice and utilize it through light codes. And this is fascinating to me because I went to a ceremony and got to experience firsthand the power of her beautiful voice. And there's so many things that she does. She just brought out a new game. She's got amazing offers, and she really is passionate about bringing this energy through her voice to the many, basically. And so I probably have not done her justice. She's literally been an ambassador for peace and been on Fox News. There's so much that she's done in the short space of time she's been on this planet. And so thank you, Emily, for being here. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you on my channel. And yeah, so let's get back to the beginnings. How did this all happen for you? Was you always spiritual? Was you always connected with with obviously your voice? How did that all come about?
Oh, I was not. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's been such a wild, wild journey um, from opera into healing into commercial music, actually, now these days, and bringing that with the healing space all together in one. No, no, I really wasn't. In fact, to be totally honest with you, growing up, I didn't really believe in anything. So the fact that all this happened was just as much a shock to me, probably me more than anyone. It was one of those things where I think it was just meant to happen. I was going through a really rough time in my life a few years ago, 2017. My health was crashing. Because again, back then I was a singer, but was only through classical. I literally wasn't allowed to speak for 6 weeks, and I had to have vocal surgery. So I had to go, okay, something's not right. And on top of that, the biggest relationship was coming to a close. My 15-year best friendship was coming to a close. Like everything was just kind of crashing around me. And I remember someone said, hey, and I went to like a hairstylist, like something so casual. And she was like, I know this lady that works with career oriented women, and she really changes their lives. And she was like, maybe you should try this. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And at that time, I really wasn't all that open, but I was in such a, oh my God, I need to change something space, that I went to that in Massachusetts, actually in USA, because that's where I'm from. And that opened my world into more, into believing in more. And it's been such a big evolution, as I know we've also talked about privately, such a big evolution in so many ways. And yeah, it opened up me to the possibilities of energy and there being something more out there, and believing in something out there, and believing in like angels for the first time, and openness. And yeah, it was through working with my first ever healer and her working on me, and me going, how is it for the first time in my life I don't have anxiety? How is it for the first time in my life there's silence? How is it for the first time in my life that the same things I've been thinking about are suddenly at peace? And it was through that I first experienced what it was to clear karmic patterns. And that changed my whole life. That was the very, 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 very beginning. So no, it's not been always. I've always had like a fascination. Like as a kid, I would go into like gemstone shops and I would have a fascination. But I was still like kind of in a stubborn way, like there's nothing more. And then when it's meant to find you, it finds you and you can't ignore it. And as we've spoken about, like I've now had 2 different spiritual awakenings, which is maybe more than a person should. And both of them have led me to where I am now, not just as a person, but also with my music, and even greater with my mission.
And have you always had this ability to captivate people with your voice? How did you start to realize, okay, I can sing, or opera was your path?
Um, my voice and singing and music was always a part of the picture, like even since like age 2.
Hmm.
Like I'd be like the little kid singing A Whole New World in the grocery store, while my mom would be like, "Yeah, that's Emily." But did my voice always captivate? No. I mean, like I am truly my own living like my own living transformation story is the word I'm looking for. And of
Hmm.
course, I've seen so many clients go through it too. But no, there were so many times like, you know, pre where I am now, it used to be, you sing to hope to get noticed, and that was so of ego and so of mind. And now it's totally different. Now it's singing to channel light from source, to give
Hmm.
that, to channel that, to be a vessel of light for everybody and the land and animals.
Hmm.
But no, I would say no. There were so many stages where I felt very suppressed or overseen or like overlooked, if you will.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so prior to doing and living this work, I had to really, like most of us, I had to try very hard. I had to hustle really hard. I had to really go above and beyond to try to be noticed, and nothing would quite get me there. And then what I really learned, that which is now what my clients see and what I've also just lived from truth, is that when you really elevate as a soul, when you do the soul ascension, when you heal, when you get rid of like the patterns of suppression, the patterns of silencing, the patterns of, because like the voice program I run, I've taken that myself now 3 times. So I had 3 different layers on top of everything else of clearing energetics of the voice, and also like ancestral blocks. And again, all the times that, men too have just gone, no. And so I share that because the more I've done of living this work, the more my voice has become something that people pay attention to, if that makes sense. But
Hmm.
more important than that, it's led me to be able to create impact. Like, I don't think I could have ever thought of myself as a sound healer years ago. That would have not even been in my sphere, because again, it was just singing to be technical. Whereas now it's never that. Like, so musically, I just released 3 new songs, and they are all filled with light. All of them are filled with light. All of them are downloads from whatever you want to call it, somewhere greater, something greater, God. And that's really a summary of all of the inner work I've done to clear and shift all the things that were dense, that were in the way of, that were blocking me from being in my truth. And that's something that I'm really, really passionate about seeing people through, is living from their truth. So what I thought was my truth was I'm an opera singer, and what the real truth is, I sing to channel light for healing, and the genre doesn't matter.
Hmm.
And now I do it in commercial music because then more people can receive it. And now I do it through my healing business as well, so more people can receive it. But it's about what it does energetically. And so, yeah, most definitely I do not say, or I would not say that people felt captivated from it before. Now, yes, now
Hmm.
I've been asked to sing for royalty. I've been asked to sing for policyholders. I've had some incredible experiences around the world, and we are still just getting started. Um, and sang on some of the biggest stages in like Amsterdam,
Hmm.
Netherlands. But again, it's not just about the music anymore. It's about what the light is beneath the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And when you had that 6 weeks where you couldn't speak, I mean, that you couldn't use your voice, couldn't speak. Did you have to go through like a retraining with your voice again? And did it change how you sang before you had the operation to after?
It didn't like, it didn't physically change my voice or anything like that. In fact, I would say more so like the more healing work I would do, the more activation work I would do, the more karma clearing work I would do on my voice in general, I would get the message of like there's more like healing in your vocal cords. And the mind doesn't understand this, but in my soul, I could understand it. And my clients would report back, oh my God, I'm having this change. Like a lot of the things I know I've seen from feedback of how other people have responded. And remind me to tell you a crazy story about Dubai, because that was wild. But yeah, I had to physically retrain. That was not an easy moment in my life, but it led to like, this, if you can't, if something, how do I say? So often people don't necessarily make that change unless there's something so big that they can't ignore. My hope
Mm.
is people don't reach that point and they begin to create more expansion and growth in their life simply from being drawn to it. But for me, I think I was just too stubborn, and it had to be something as shocking as not being able to speak for 6 weeks. Um, but yeah, now my voice is like stronger than ever,
Yeah, right.
wider range than ever. And that's again, it has nothing to do with the surgery at all. It has everything to do with the energetics of all the layers of living this work that I've done. So, like from a technical standpoint, you can see evidence of it because I can sing higher and sing lower than before, and also sing. It's just the sound is totally different, and you can feel it is totally different. So it's really more about the energy.
Yeah, and it's you're able because you've removed a lot of density, whether that's in your throat chakra or you're able to hold more energy, aren't you? Because there's more room. And so um this just, this is one of the things that I say to people as well is you don't need to hit that bottom to find your purpose, to really make some changes and really live, what you're meant to be here for. And a lot of people are on their knees and that's when they have the transformation. But like you said, I really like the fact that you said that because I don't feel it needs to get to that point. Maybe for some people it does because would never have surrendered. And I think it's about truly surrendering, but we don't all need to get to that, which is really important. And you talked about, I don't know, do you want to share your Dubai story?
Yeah. Yeah. And also say I do more than like just through sound. That's obviously the main way it goes to the world, but there's the karma side and pattern clearing side that we should also talk about. But Dubai, this was like March 2022. And as mentioned, like so many of these things, I learned what was going on and the evolution of what was possible for both myself and for others through the feedback of what other people would say. And so at this point, I had already been running my business. I had already been doing karmic pattern clearing work for people. I'd already had clients having insane experiences, literally from like 9 to 5 to millionaires. That is not a joke. That actually has happened multiple times. I had already been running multiple programs, but I was still approaching it as like music was separate from healing at that point. And then 2022 was really like this bridge gap where it all opened up and I got to see so much more. So I was invited by some friends to go to Dubai, and there was this like crypto convention. And one of those moments where you're like, this room, how did I get in this room? So it's like tons of people who have spent thousands of dollars to be in this room. And my friends were running this oh, what's it called? I'm forgetting the name of it, not AI, metaverse, this metaverse experience. And they were like, Emily, go do your healing thing. Go do your thing. And I was like, here? Because at that point I had been working around the world with people online because of COVID, right? So I hadn't been doing that much in person. And so I just started like, it was the first time ever that I started to really combine singing, moving light through my hands, and
Sorry, I
healing.
lost you for a sec then. I don't know what happened, but carry on.
Oh no.
You do your light thing, you said do your light thing.
I'll just backtrack, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Your friend said do the light thing.
So my friend said, do your thing. Do your thing, Emily." And it was the first time ever that sound, singing, channeling light through hands, which again at that point I didn't understand, and healing really all happened in one place. So then, I'm singing and people are walking up to me, and this man walks up to me, and I'm just like, it was like I completely got out of the way. God was completely moving through me. And he says, you know, I've never felt anything like that in my life. I've never felt so in touch with myself in my life. Like, I want that every day. Oh my God, what was that? And suddenly I have this crowd like coming around me, or more people coming around me. And there's like this billionaire who marches up to me and he's like, nothing ever turns my head. What was that? And it was like this really big, oh my God, what is going on moment, because I really understood that healing and music didn't have to be separate. And I had been told so many times this, but my mind couldn't understand it until I like experienced it and saw it. And it was no coincidence at all that maybe 3 weeks before this, in a healing call, I started to sing the healing call. I started to sing, you know, I guess you could call it the transmission. I started to sing it. And people would be like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever felt. I'm crying. Oh my God. Like, the embodiment of this is so deep. Like, people were having transformation in real time in such a deep and profound way. And it really taught me that singing and healing do not have to be separate. In fact, they can be completely put together as one. And so that's been like the mastery of that is the biggest thing that I do in the world. And so yeah, it really opened my eyes to, whoa, there's so much more that we don't know, because everybody was just like, what is that? What is that? Like, and so now that's kind of how it is anywhere. Like, if I go singing somewhere, like suddenly everyone is crowded around me, and you know that it's more than just because it's music.
Mm.
And also to say, like, you know, how to say this, people cry with me all the time. Like, people feel very deeply all the time. Like, even just in this last week running big events for the game, like strangers, new people, oh my God, I cried. I've never had something touch me so deeply. Thank you for that. Like, there is so much more out there energetically than we know. And yeah, that's how Dubai had a part of my story.
Yeah, I love that. And you said that you had, you know, two awakenings. Like, was that, are they separate from the divine? Like, what were your divine awakenings? And I used to call these awakenings because I believe we don't just have one anyway. I believe we might have one big one, but we have multiple, I believe, and they're layered, aren't they? But so we'll go with the first one.
Ooh, the short summary of it, because the full story is one I'm not sure if I will ever fully tell anywhere, because the truth is they're spooky stories and like
Mm.
they're deep ones. But the short of it is, the first one really brought me into a land of spirituality, and really brought me into a land of healing, and really brought me into a land of, I am here for more. The second one brought me, I don't want to say out of spirituality, but it opened my eyes that there is nothing more important than God, and that Jesus was at the front door for me. That was the huge, huge, huge second awakening message, was that, you know, who I am close to, God is number one, and Jesus is right there.
Mm.
And so, all to say, it's not to say I don't see myself as spiritual anymore, but more so, I don't really fit into spiritual or religious. I believe in more, and God is at the front. And to me, that is the only true light, is God and Jesus. And so that's where the second spiritual awakening happened. And as you can guess from any spiritual awakening, these come with hard lessons, really hard lessons. And I think that's partially because sometimes we have to really understand something. And so I needed to really understand something. So yeah, both of my spiritual awakenings were two of the most challenging times of my life, and yet they provided the most growth.
Mm. Yeah, and I think your second awakening was kind of the same time I was going through my second awakening as well. And it was all around like Yeshua, like Jesus. And I am not religious whatsoever. Like, I mean, I was brought up as Muslim, but I didn't even follow that. So it went against everything. And I didn't even know, like, you know, you hear the stories like how he walked on water and he turned water into wine. I just had no opinion. I just like, did it happen? I didn't. So it really, what Yeshua's done for me, which I'm sure he's done for you, is bring me straight to God.
Yeah.
And I thought I had that connection already, and that God, but this is just like, it's the forefront. Like, number one, God is the priority. And that's really what shifted within me as well. And it was interesting when we connected, we both have been going through this like transformation and realizing this and on such a deep level. And I think just even knowing that this is the second coming, and and somebody else, I was at an event and I was chatting to this woman, she said, so many people are connected in with Yeshua now and they don't understand it and they're not even religious.
Yeah.
And so what do you make of that? What do you think is happening there?
I just think we're being called towards more light, more true light. I think it's really interesting that we met. I don't know about for you, but since ours was probably around the same time, like just before it happened for me, like maybe a month,
Hmm.
so probably the same for you. Um, yeah, I just think we're being called into more light. I mean, even in the US, I read that more and more, again, like regardless, or the word regardless of religion, more and more people are getting like baptisms than ever before. More and more people are finding Jesus in whatever way they're comfortable with than ever
Hmm.
before. And I think it's really fascinating. And for me, as I said, that lesson did not come lightly. It was really, and I'm trying to find the vaguest way to say it as I can, it came from like taking me out of the dark that I didn't know was around at all and bringing me through into the light. Like they say, like, you know, they talk about Jesus saves, and I never understood that at all. I didn't relate to it at all, and now I do. And like he was there like an umbrella of golden light to have my back. And I feel, I guess the best way I could describe it is I feel much more protected and much more like centered and much more clear than I ever have in my whole life. And again, I think anytime you're working with energy, you have to be very mindful and very, very careful. Like, what are you working with? Who are you talking to? What are you connecting to? And also that the ego cannot be in front of God. It cannot be in front of God. God is the one who heals. And
Hmm.
like you said, like Jesus brings us closer. So it was a huge reality check in so many ways because it also brought me out of some friendships. I realized there's some friendships and relationships I couldn't continue because they were leading more in a way that wasn't aligned with God first. And so it was a tough thing to see. It was really tough, but it was really also the most amazing thing that's happened. And I love that, like, on the other side of all that, I was like, hey, I wonder how you're doing. And then we like got together and had that conversation, and it was like, okay, okay, it makes sense because we're like in the same, we've reached the same space. And for anyone listening, like if you relate to this or don't quite relate to this, I think things will find you when you're ready in the way
Hmm.
that you are ready for. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be the same track for everyone, but for a lot of people I've spoken to, a lot of people, it has been somewhat like what you've mentioned and what I've mentioned of kind of moving out of things that might look like false light and really into light, um,
Hmm.
and out of illusions and into light. And also, like, obviously the world is moving through so much density, which we can see anywhere, right? Like, it's very obvious that we just need as much light as possible.
Yeah, we're going for a huge shift in consciousness, which is expanding. You know, it is the Great Awakening. And I remember, reading about this about 18 years ago when I started to really realize what was going on. But a lot of it was the conceptual. It was like I hadn't embodied a lot of it. And I thought, oh, it'll never happen in my lifetime. And I started to see over this, oh my God, like when I had my first real, I would call my real awakening during COVID, when I realized and I had the download that God is real, it was just like, oh, and then I went through my dark night of the soul, and it was just really seeing where the darkness is, but where the light is as well, because it's polarity, isn't it? And so, the spiritual community, I don't even like to say I'm spiritual. I don't even like to say that word. I don't resonate with it anymore. It's just who I am. Like, and so it's interesting that that's where you're at as well, because there's so many layers and programming even within the spiritual community that's been planted deliberately. And we can get on this like kind of, sorry, I've got the sun right here.
Oh,
This
you're fine.
this loop of like feeling we need to continually heal, like constantly heal and looking outside of ourselves, but instead of going in. And it's we do need support, but it's getting the support from the divine, right? And so it can be, yeah, it's really important just to know who we are, like first and foremost, who are we and who are we connecting to, like you said. And
Yeah.
I love that. So would you say there was your catalyst to just seeing things differently in your business that helped you shift, or is that just still unfolding?
Um, I mean, I feel like my business, it still runs on the same truth it always has. Like, I don't feel like that had to make some big alteration. As I said, my friendships did. That was
Yeah.
like the biggest ways I could see it.
Hmm.
Um, but I am like very mindful, of course, like every single session I do, like I call in God first. Like that's
Yeah.
super clear. Not that I wasn't before. So again, like it hasn't made that much of a difference. One thing that has been different is my gifts, if you will, and
Hmm.
how, to whatever extent we know what that is from listening, but probably everyone listening on this channel knows what we mean. They've become more open, not less. Like
Hmm.
the sessions with clients ever since that, I have had even more, I guess you could say, shocking feedback. Not shocking, but like, you know, a person that was stuck in their business for ages would do a one-to-one session, for example, and then immediately, oh, now I have clients flowing in
Hmm.
immediately. Or a person who was estranged from their daughter. Oh, my daughter called me 30 minutes after our session.
Hmm.
Okay, wow. So I would say things are more like the results have shifted, um, and just my gifts seem more open, but I haven't really had to majorly change my business because
Hmm.
it's always made with divine first.
Hmm.
And then,
Great.
I mean, the only thing that did evolve is that I didn't think there was ever going to be a new program. I thought I was done making new programs. I thought it was just going to be the voice program that I run with my singing. And then the game landed out of nowhere. And that was recent. That only landed in my field like a month ago. So, or like in more normal terms, like it landed as an idea only a month ago. Um,
Hmm.
and so I think that's interesting that that's since and not before because there were no new programs for 2 years. And
Hmm.
then this one, boom, done. Okay. And like, I'm so proud of this. So, yeah, good question though.
Yeah. And do you want to tell people what the game is? Because it's very unique.
Yes. So, the game, this thing is like, it is one of the coolest, I guess you could say, downloads that has ever come to my sphere. It is, if we think about this, we are always playing the game. Your thoughts, your subconscious thoughts when you're awake, when you're asleep, are always creating your reality. They're creating who's in your life, they're creating what happens in your career, they're creating your visibility or not visibility, they're creating everything. Who's around you. It's like almost like chutes and ladders. Like it's like however far we climb depends on what we have created months ago because in the now we create the next. So this is a game of quantum creation, which I see is different than quantum manifestation or manifestation because manifestation, I just feel like there's so many things people don't know about it that are not spoken about, including like the patterns that are beneath the surface that go beyond like what tapping can touch or like Reiki, like with all due respect to all of that.
Hmm.
But quantum creation is I am a creator with divine. I am
Hmm.
a co-creator with divine. Because yes, divine, God, source, whatever you want to call it, has, you know, will, like we want what divine wants for us. And we are creating a signal that helps co-create that. The problem is most of us are not aware that our signals are very, very mixed. We might be saying, I want to meet the love of my life. But if our signal is saying, I accept this caliber of person, we have a mixed signal. And that's just one example of hundreds of examples I could think of.
Hmm.
So the game is the empowerment of you as a creator. And it's meant to create pinch me, I'm dreaming magic. I got to play it for 10 days in Italy, which is where I am right now. I have had the most like fairy tale moments with strangers, with people I've never met in my life, with like the store clerk, like so much magic out of nowhere. I literally ended up singing. I don't think I've told you this. I ended up singing on a stage. I had a gig here, the first one in a year from this. And like I was called what I've been creating to be called. Like it's that fast in what it creates, but also, of course, what you create now creates again what's later. So in it, you have a player. You get to choose your player, like a real game, and your player, depending on who they are, they have different superpowers based on what you want to make. Whether you are a busy mom and you choose to be Cleopatra, who has these two panthers beside her side, and she's able to command anything that has pressure with poise. She can alchemize anything and handle it with poise. That's Cleopatra. Or maybe you're the diva and her superpower is visibility. Or maybe you are the CEO and she's scaling, but she's got a calm nervous system. Or maybe you're playing the mystery. And the mystery is both a player in the game and also represents the unknown or the universe, God. But for the sake of making it more universal, we called it the universe. And so the mystery is both a player you can play that's bold and unpredictable, but also the mystery in this talks back. So you'll actually have like cards where it's like, ring, ring, it's the mystery. And the mystery guides you into your growth. So every single day you have your player. You play your player based on your intention of growth. You play an action card, which is your aligned action that moves you towards your goals. And you play your creation card, which is the dominant frequency you want to hold. And then the secret sauce that happens only in the full paid game is these different levels you take. There's 7 levels. It begins on 7/7, so 4 days from right now. If you see this, it's pretty like soon. And you go up these 7 levels. Before every level change, you also play the boss. And the boss is our area of like the shadow work and where we've been avoiding, or like what we've been avoiding that actually is the answer to our growth. So it's fully a game. It's fully like, think board game, video game, and yet it is the game that we're playing anyway. You're playing the game, I'm playing the game. It's just, this is the empowerment to play on purpose. So it's really about getting all signals that you put out into one focused space, because that's where you have the most growth. And the first time I did this, I had my very first 44K month, literally lost nearly 10 pounds and moved into a $1 million home. Like, it is that potent. And then the thing again that you will find in the full game that you can't find in other parts is, or rather not in the free game, which was free, is deep karmic work, which we haven't really talked about, but I'll quickly touch on. Karmic work goes to the root of all repeat patterns you've ever had, not just in this lifetime, but every lifetime you've ever lived. It also connects to what happened to you ancestrally through your grandparents, your father, your mother's line, etc. Because our ancestors, of course, affect us. If your grandfather had, their business shut down, it affects you until that is given the peace it wants. So every single level, you will have different experiences. Sometimes it's a full activation. Sometimes it's something for abundance. And sometimes it is a full karmic release to get rid of the obstructions we don't know we are holding. So you will leave the game not only fully able to create intentionally, but you've been creating for 7 intentional weeks, which means what happens the next 3 months and onwards is going to be completely expanded. And you will have cleared so much density, if you will, that you didn't even know was there. That again is what I contribute to the biggest thing that led to my growth, like on a soul level. So yeah, the game is the game of life. It's the game of creation. It's the game of how energetics work. And it is available briefly right now and starts 7/7. And I'm so excited.
Yeah, it sounds so fun. And when you're focusing on one character, then or that's where you want to go. Like that's where all the energy's going, isn't it? So that helps you to create. And so when you were testing it out for 10 days, which character did you choose?
Easy, the diva.
And the diva, I love it.
So I chose the one about visibility, and what do you know? I ended up with, hey, do you want to sing for this thing, like in front of the Duomo? Like, do you want to do a performance? And then the guy was like, oh, you're famous. And I was like, because I'm the diva. Like,
You were
really?
embodying the diva, so yeah.
Well, because it is like about identity and embodiment too. Like, it has every single part, every single flavor it takes to create the full four-course meal of creating what you want. So, yeah, that's the game.
And what was coming to me as you were saying that you get what you are, not what you want. So you are that. It's not acting in that way, even though you are, you're just embodying it, who you are. It's like, because there's multidimensional versions of you who is a diva, and you're just bringing that version into your now moment and being her. And so they do say fake it till you make it, but it's like knowing I am that person, and that's how you manifest, right? And I want to touch on something for those people who may not be aware of this kind of language. And you talked about downloads, and you talked about, so what is a download? What would you say that is for those that don't know?
If you don't normally use that languaging, just think about it as like that sudden urge, that sudden idea that you're like, whoa, I feel like I should talk to that person. I feel like I should do this. Or like, when you just get like a really big calling towards something, a lot of people unfortunately tend to ignore them. Don't ignore them. They're really, really important. It's like, it's just knowing. It's like this feeling of I just know. And the other thing I see a lot of people run into is they doubt themselves and they wonder, did I make that up? Is it a good idea? Is it going to work out? If you have a big idea come to you or a download, go for it. It is from whatever word you want to use, God, divine, and it will never be wrong. We are literally always given support on our path. And again, one of the single most important things I ever did in this journey was, well, healing got me there, was opening my intuition. Everybody has the capacity to be more intuitive. Everybody has the capacity to have more downloads, whether it's in knowing or in like, really accessing the wisdom of your soul is essential. It's the difference between living your life in your head and letting your mind and your ego guide, and living it from your heart and letting your divine intuition guide. So yeah, and a download is a huge idea that comes out of nowhere. Go for it.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. And it's like the choiceless choice. Yeah, you might have resistance. There may be the doubts and the thoughts that come after, but it feels like this choiceless choice to go for it. And do you believe, or would you say, because if you don't, if you have this idea and this idea and you ignore it and you keep ignoring it, eventually it'll go to somebody else.
That's what they say.
Yeah. So you don't want to be like, oh my God, I had that idea and somebody else has done it. So yeah, act on it. And you talked about opening up your intuition, and I do workshop on how to harness your intuition, and I do that as well for mothers to be, because when they're pregnant, their intuition's heightened, and which is really important when you're pregnant. And so for you, what would you say was the main area that helped you open your intuition? Was it doing the karmic work? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, hands down, hands down. I mean, mind you, like in the very beginning, I did like Reiki certifications, and technically, I'm trained in two Reiki lineages, and I've got two like big, what do they call it, diplomas. Like I've got the paperwork, but nothing opened my intuition more and that did, but nothing opened it more than doing karma clearing work. And I think because like the best way I can describe it is we're holding that from lifetimes. That creates only as far as we can see. It's like I play life into this mode. I guess I always think like a game. And if I'm always, holding this pattern, whether it is rejection, betrayal, whatever it is, the more I can clear that, the more my true soul dharma comes through, the more my purpose comes through. And what happens is when I'm not so dense, or not so dense, but when I'm holding less weight, when I'm holding less heaviness, this can be clearer. you can actually physically see it. If you saw any pictures of me now versus like years ago, you can see the difference. One, I look kind of just, it looks a bit dark, really. And one, it looks very light. And it's not just me. Like I've had, past clients. The other day, someone sent me a photo from years ago to recently. You could see the difference in her eyes.
Mm.
But yeah, the more basically clearing, deep
Yeah.
soul level clearing is that which opened my intuition. And that's been invaluable because it's given me huge purpose-led ideas, seven-figure ideas, heart-led ideas that have changed the world. Like, it's invaluable.
Yeah. We just don't listen to our intuition. We get that feeling like even just walking down the street, it's like, you get this nudge to go right and then you go left and you're like, oh, I knew I should have gone right. Like you just listen to that part. It's really important.
I literally now make a promise to myself to listen no matter how out there, no matter how inconvenient. I make this as a promise because I will say the only times I've had problems, the only times where I've had something go really not right have been because I didn't listen.
Yeah.
Have been because I was like, let me give it a chance. It's
Mm,
really hard for people to listen to intuition sometimes over fear because intuition is expansive and fear can be like, I just want to stay where I am, which happens when people are deciding often if they want to like invest in their growth, etc. And just know you are safe to do so. You are
mm.
encouraged to do so. You are always supported to do so. But yeah, I listen no matter what. If it's not at this point, I'm so clear with my intuition. If it's not a full body yes, it is a no.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And with how it comes through light language or light codes, how does your channel, how does it work for you? Because I know it works for like everybody different. I just had somebody on who I've just posted a video of Matt, and he's a channel, but he channels through his body, moves him. Like he'll get moved to like taking food out of the cupboard. Like mine is the voice and light language. How does it work for you?
Um, I know you've like seen it. It's hard to explain.
Mm,
Um, it's really hard to explain. It comes through sound and it comes through my hands. It
yeah.
comes through sound and it comes through my hands. Sometimes it's
Mhm.
a pitch, sometimes it's a moving pitch or a sound, a tone, and sometimes it's words in my hands. And it's like you can tell when it's the right energy to do it, and you can tell when it's not the right energy to do it.
Mm,
But it's almost like there's like a channel of light, and it's like you like access the channel of light, and then you speak the channel of light through. So it's if you ever see videos of mine where you see me doing wild things with my hands, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, it's just like letting divine light flow through you is how it
mm,
comes for me. Um, and sometimes in classes and whatnot, I'll be singing a pitch and then I will translate what I'm hearing that pitch means because there's people who speak light language and they come through these wild languages. That's not my thing. Instead, it's, I sing a pitch, but I can hear, okay, we're moving this, we're activating this, we're changing this, we're shifting this, we're activating this. And I'll just speak that in English. But it's like it almost comes through like a trance. It is really,
mm,
you have to get out of the way,
yeah.
as I know you know.
We really have to get ourselves out of the way. It's like, and that is like a muscle that you build over time. It's like, you go to the gym to build muscle, it doesn't happen overnight. It's the same when you start activating your channeling or you're allowing the ego to be in the back seat and you're taking the driver, you're the true self taking the driver's seat. And so, and it was interesting when we went to church. Well, it was my first time going to church, and you were saying go to church is like a rock concert. I was like, okay, I've never really been to church. It's not something but obviously since connecting with Yeshua, it was like, let's just go, let's just see. And oh my God, the energy, it was absolutely amazing. And you and I just started like doing light language through our hands. It was like a real special moment because it was like, oh my God, like it didn't matter what anybody thought, but we just allowed our hands to like, for me, I didn't know what was going on, but my hands were moving energy or whatever it was doing. Do you know what was happening or did you get any translations at that point?
I think I did, but I don't remember what they are.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
They are because it was now a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It just felt like a tremendous amount of light in the room was
Mm,
already there, and then we somehow raised the light even further.
yeah.
Yeah, and also really random but funny. Every time I go there, I find myself sitting right next to the same gal. And I feel like somehow, I feel like she's just like needing some healing and some light and doesn't know it. Every time I go there, she's to my right.
That's so interesting, isn't
Every
it?
time. I don't know what's
Yeah, nothing's by chance. And
yeah.
yeah, I was emotional. I was crying because I felt, and when we walked in, some churches have like Yeshua on the cross, and there was none of that where he was being crucified. It was a real, like, I was like, oh my God, is this church? Like, I've only gone once. I haven't like suddenly had an urge, I need to go back every time, but I did enjoy it. It was interesting. It was a great experience. So thank you for exposing me to that experience. Is there anything that you would like to share that you feel is relevant for people to know right now that's really going to support them on their journey?
Don't doubt where you're led. Don't doubt where you're led. Don't doubt the now. Try to tune out the noise. Try to listen more. Let your heart be your guide. Tune out the noise. Tune out the noise is the message coming through. Tune out the noise. I think it's really interesting. We got this light going on right now. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I can.
There's a lot of twisting confusion out there right now. There's a lot of distortion out there right now. Your answers are inside. So it's okay to let them out. And one way to let them out is through self-love. And one way to let them out is through trust. Don't doubt where you are. Miracles can happen in 5 seconds. Miracles are always happening. Miracles are always being created. Tune out the noise. Breathe into your heart. And let the flow guide you. That's it.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful message. And the self-love piece is really key. What does self-love look like to you?
Depends on the day. I mean, today it's going to be take a nice shower and sing in the shower. It depends on the day.
Mm,
It means knowing your boundaries. It means knowing your energetic. Yeah, it's different on the day. It's whatever feels good to you. It's expressing love back.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah, be doing things that brings you joy. This is exactly why I do these videos and want to have a chat with people like yourself, just because it brings me so much joy to share this information, because I think it's really important right now. So I really appreciate you coming on. I know how busy you have been this week, and I just appreciate you taking the time to share your journey. And I know it's going to inspire people and bring awareness. And please do like, subscribe, comment, and share if you think this is going to be useful to anybody that is really wanting to know how they can activate their own gifts, or even just get on their purpose, on the path to their purpose, and open their intuition. So thanks for watching. Have a blessed day, everybody.